24/7 right at your fingertips. If you've been waiting to get in on the action, well, the right time is now. Make your winning move today and sign up at MyBookie. Use promo code TentonXL to claim your deposit up to $1,000. That's right, TentonXL for an opportunity to boost your betting power. No matter what, it's playoff time. Experience the thrill of sports betting right from the comfort of your own crib with MyBookie. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Come on, somebody.
Here's your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update, sponsored by Fenwick Home Services. The college football championship game saw the return of Big Blue as Michigan defeated Washington to bring them the national championship. Head coach Jim Harbaugh says they faced all challengers.
15-0, took on all comers, and still the last one standing.
A familiar name is coming to Tallahassee. FSU lands Miami defensive back transfer Devontae Brown. FSU pursued the former UCF player last offseason, but Brown chose the Miami Hurricanes to play with his brother. The 6'2 defensive back announced his decision on Monday. There's a thought he'll play safety in Tallahassee. FSU is coming off a thrilling win over ACC opponent Virginia Tech. Next up for the Noles men's basketball team is conference opponent Wake Forest. This evening at home, the game time is 7 p.m. At your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update, I'm Sam Nell.
At 10 o'clock, it's 71 degrees. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
At this time, I haven't. I'm still processing everything. Obviously we just finished the season, so I'm going to take the next little bit here and think about everything. Obviously with the way we finished, and it's not where we want to be, obviously, and I got to take all this into consideration. When you struggle offensively, like we did at times, I don't care who's calling plays. You might as well look at that thing with your eyes closed and just pick a play. Quite honestly, because it's hard, it's difficult. I've been there, and you're trying to find that one play or a spark that gets your offense rolling, and with the struggles that we had at times, that's a difficult thing to do, to try to, whether it's in the run game or the pass game.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Jeff Lageman, and
hold my pocket,
Dylan Denmark.
All right, good morning, everybody. It is a Check the Tape Tuesday, looking back at the way the season collapsed for the Jacksonville Jaguars, culminating in a 28-20 loss to the Tennessee Titans. That was, of course, some of the thoughts of Doug Peterson there, as he said it'll take this next little bit and think about everything. Apparently that next little bit was just several hours, as after that, Mike Caldwell and the entire defensive staff were relieved of their duties. I'm Mike Dempsey, along with Tony Smith. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning.
We still have a job today, so
that's
good.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of people would like us to get fired by the powers that be as well. Jeff Logman's not in that camp. He is well respected. Logs, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, boys. How y'all doing today?
We're hanging in there. Logs coming to you from a duck blind in an undisclosed locale right now. Where are you located right now, Logs?
I'm in middle Georgia and sitting here awaiting for that line of storms that Jacksonville is going to get eventually later this afternoon, but it's supposed to hit here, I think, within the hour. So it could get pretty nasty up here.
All right, well, let's make good use of our time, and let's dive right in. What did you make of the decision by Doug Peterson to move on from Mike Caldwell and the defensive staff?
It didn't surprise me, and it didn't surprise me because if you look at the way that the defense finished over the last essentially 6 games, it wasn't very good. In the 4-game losing streak, this defense was giving up over 400 yards a game. And then things obviously were much better against the Carolina Panthers, but then in the game in which you needed the most, which wasn't exactly a very difficult process to understand of what you needed to do in Tennessee to stop the Tennessee Titans, and you didn't accomplish it. So it didn't surprise me. But in that 4-game losing streak, you were dead last in the league in yards allowed. You were dead last in the league in third down percentage allowed, and you were like second from the bottom in points allowed, and that's just unacceptable, especially given the moment, where you needed to get a win to get in, and this team didn't make it happen.
Jeff, we at least know the reasons why they may have struggled with some things offensively down the stretch. Trevor's playing through 3-4 different injuries. Over the back half of the season, they lose Christian Kirk, all these different things happening on the offensive side of the ball. They hadn't been an effective running team basically all season long, but especially in the second half of the year, they just didn't run the ball well. The defense actually looked like it played pretty well early on in the season. What happened that led to, talking about them being the team that's given up the most yardage over the last 6 weeks of the season, basically? What changed on the defensive side of the ball that it collapsed?
Well, I think, Tony, that the takeaways for the defense really covered up a lot of warts over the last 2 years, and that was one category that they were one of the best in the league at, is taking the ball away. This year I think it was 26 takeaways prior to the Tennessee game, so 27 takeaways on the year. Last year did a really good job with that same category. Last year they ended up having 27, so 2 years in a row, 27 takeaways, and that's a tremendous number. But I think the way that the defense trended to where, okay, you started out good, you're getting the takeaways, you're doing really good on a third down percentage, even though you're not rushing the passer particularly well. But then the way you finished down the stretch, I think, was kind of the linchpin. And then, look, the reality is when you have an epic collapse, because that's what it was, somebody's, I guess, got to pay the price. And the biggest disappointment to me is when you are facing the Tennessee Titans, and you guys heard us talk about this. You guys talked about it this past week. The Tennessee Titans have arguably the worst offensive line in football for the last 2 years.
Right.
I mean, literally the worst offensive line in football. And I don't know what other people's rankings are, but last year they were terrible. This year, still terrible. And the Jaguars' defensive front got beat up. I mean, up front, they got beat up against the Titans football team. They got beat up in Tampa by that Tampa offensive line. So, 2 out of the last 3 games when your defensive front is getting beaten up, and for the most part, when I say beaten up, I think Josh and Trayvon played pretty well. But on the inside, I mean, just not where you needed to be. And look, I've always believed this. Stopping the run is a mentality. It's not about talent. It's about a mentality of, hey, they're not going to run the ball against us, because we can overpopulate the box. We can overpopulate the area in which they want to run. And the Jaguars were just completely ineffective. And when you watch the way that they played that game, it looked bad at times. I mean, where it looked like that they were avoiding the contact or the moment of Derrick Henry, and that was unacceptable.
Well, let's listen in, Logs. This was Doug Peterson yesterday, and this is close to on point to what you're talking about right now. When Doug was asked which was more alarming, the offensive struggles or the defensive breakdowns?
Offensive struggles or defensive breakdowns? Listen, it's yes and yes. I mean, the offensive struggles kept us from scoring, kept us from winning games, and the defensive struggles and breakdowns kept them, if we communicate better, if we execute better, if we're disciplined in the gaps, the run integrity, we're better, right, on the defensive side. Miss tackles, tackle better, we're a better team. And so this is the complementary part of football that I don't think we were very good in, this year. Offense turned the ball over. Defense, we expect to stop. Defense, you give up a touchdown. Offense, we expect you to go down and score, So that was a big part of it too, But I think those are equal, to both sides.
All right, Logs. Well, honing in on the defensive part of that answer, he talked about, if we're disciplined in the gaps and schemes, the run integrity, we're better. If we don't have the missed tackles, if we tackle better, we're a better team. I'm hearing Doug Peterson may think that the personnel was there, but Mike Caldwell and the staff failed to get them in the proper positions or failed to get – I'm sure the coaching staff is emphasizing these communication things, playing with gap integrity, all these things. How do you, as yourself, a former longtime defensive player in the league, how do you assign the blame between what a coaching staff has to get out of a unit and what the unit is responsible for themselves?
Well, I think everybody's responsible, and the disappointing thing to me is that in this game against Tennessee, And you've got three guys up front that are considered, or you're expecting them to be kind of that bully ball style of play that you have with your defense, and that's Big Roy and Devon Hamilton and Fadakasi, and all three of these guys are up there when you talk about pay scale at defensive tackles, particularly for defensive tackles that don't give you a lot of pass rush, right? So you expect those guys to be very forceful in their run defense, and there were multiple times in the game against Tennessee where they weren't in their gap. And so when you have defensive tackles that are not in their gap, it makes the linebackers and puts a ton of stress on the linebackers, and at times it makes them look lost because they're not sure, okay, is he going to end up getting in his gap, or is he just decided to be in my gap? And so it makes them look indecisive, and it allows Derrick Henry, obviously, when you have a defensive tackle that's out of the gap and now you have a linebacker who's indecisive, it allows Derrick Henry to get rolling and to hit it downhill. And that was Big's problem in that game. But ultimately, Mike, it falls on everybody. And coaches, they've got to end up being responsible for getting the players ready. The players got to get themselves ready to be professionals. So it falls on everybody. I don't think you can just sit there, it's more his fault. But the one thing that is true, it's easier to change the coach than it is to change the player when you have contractual obligations.
Yeah, they signed Roy Robertson Harris and Devon Hamilton to extensions last offseason. It doesn't feel like either of those players are going anywhere. Did you see any signs coming down through the last 3-4 weeks of the season that Hamilton was finally shaking off all the medical stuff that got in his way early in the season and seemed to hold him back even when he got back on the field?
I thought he made a little bit of progress, Tony, but not anywhere near being back to the Devon Hamilton that we were pretty excited about at last year. And watching him early on in training camp, we're like, yeah, he's the most dominant pass rusher they got on the inside. They can't block him. And look, I'm not blaming him as an individual. The injury that he had, and we don't really know the full extent of it, but from what I understand, it was a significant injury. And, will he get back all the way? I hope so. But that's a big mountain that he had to climb this year. Fadakasi, I thought at times was good. And this past game, he wasn't good. And Roy wasn't good. And those two guys, you're paying them to be good. They're not much as far as pass rush goes. The reality is Fadakasi's had like 4.5 career sacks. So if you're paying somebody that amount of money, look, he's got to be really good against the run. And at times he wasn't. And Big Roy, the extension, team captain, big moment, as a team captain, you wear that C. You've got to kind of be at the forefront of performance, because to be a leader, you've got to have performance. And Roy didn't have a great performance in Nashville.
All right, Jeff Logman's here. It is a Check the Tape Tuesday as we look back on the way the season ended and just some of the big off-season questions facing this team as well. If you've got questions or comments Jaguar-related, you could bring them to the show and to Jeff at 641-1010 on the All-Pro Roofing phone lines. Same number for the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Hit us up in the YouTube chat or on social media today at MD_1010XL, at 1010XL Fat Tony, at Logs56, and at 1010XL Denmark.
Hold my pocket.
Good morning, Young Pockets. How are you?
Good morning. We're doing well.
All right. No football practice today?
No track. Apparently, the storm is too bad to do anything. They didn't even go to school today.
All right, protect those kiddies.
Yes.
Man. Yes, all right.
Gotta protect our babies.
We'll come back with Jeff Logman on a Check the Tape Tuesday, looking at some of the massive questions that this team faces now heading into the offseason. So stay with us as we try to continue to take the baby steps into the offseason to figure out the best path for the Jags to return to dominance in the AFC South. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Jeff Logman, and Dylan Denmark here with you. You're listening to Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Not only weight loss maintenance. Man, I'll never forget my first week with Awaken 180, dropped 9.6 pounds. They promised me 4 to 5 pounds a week, and I went soaring past that. Honestly, the weight came off very easily. They've got a proven system with over 21,000 customers over the years and a 98% approval rating, satisfaction rating. Where are you going to get that with any company? Awaken 180 delivers results, and not only did they deliver the weight loss results, they help you keep the weight loss intact and where it's at. Keep that weight off. That's always been my big issue, but I get Tremendous coaching from my personal coach with Awaken 180. And guess what? I don't pay for any of it. I hit my goal weight. All that support is free for life with Awaken 180. That's right. They're going to teach you the right way to approach weight loss. It's not crash dieting. It's not going to the gym for 23 hours out of the day. Call them at 844-346-1800. That's 844-346-1800. If you're tired of that weight hanging around, Awaken 180 Weight Loss online at awaken180weightloss.com.
It's Jaguars Today Tuesday.
Brought to you by Dream Finders Homes from the JOI Studios at 1010XL. JOI, where the pros go. Your home for Florida Gators basketball is 1010XL.
The Gators duel in the Delta. Florida Ole Miss. Tomorrow night at 9 on 1010 a.m.
Brackish Vodka, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, is the smoothest local vodka you can find. Made right here in Jacksonville, Florida, 100% from corn, Brackish Vodka is the local gluten-free choice. Brackish Vodka, for those that live life slightly salty, a proud partner of the Jaguars. The next time you're at Fresh Spot Lounge, make sure you tell the bartender you like it slightly salty with Brackish Vodka.
Hard Rock Bet presents Legal in Florida.
You can bet the game on Hard Rock Bet. No more betting inside your head. Now Hard Rock Bet is legal in Florida. Now Hard Rock Bet is legal in Florida. Legal in Florida. It's safe, it's legal. We'll repeat that it is legal. Top rated sportsbook and it's the only one that's legal.
Get a no-regret first bet up to $100 when you sign up now. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 and over and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey for Awaken 180 Weight Loss. When researching any product or service, we want to know what other customers had to say about it. Were they happy? Did they receive the results promised? What if that company had a customer satisfaction score of 98%? I don't know about you, but for me, I'm in. Let's say you're searching weight loss programs. I'm sure you'd be satisfied with a company that had a 75 or 80% success ratio because, well, it's weight loss. Anything higher than 80% would be a shocker. Well, Awaken 180 clients give them a score of 98%. And we're not talking about 10 or 20 people. Awaken 180 has helped me and over 21,000 other clients achieve what no other diet, workout plan, or injection has been able to do before. 9 years, 21,000 clients, and over 700,000 pounds lost with the solution for weight loss. Do what Matt Hayes and I did. Succeed with Awaken 180 Weight Loss. 844-346-1800. That's 844-346-1800, or reserve your consultation at awaken180weightloss.com.
Exercise more, lose weight, save more money, quit smoking. These are the most common New Year's resolutions, but one we feel should be added to the list is that upgrade or repair you've been putting off at your house. We are Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing and Septic Services, and we can help with anything plumbing and septic related. Do you have a project or issue we can help with? Please give us a call at 904-862-6769. That's 904-862-6769 or duckduckrooter.com.
The Women's Board of Wilson Children's Hospital welcomes tech entrepreneur Steve Wozniak January 17th. For your chance to win tickets, text FORUM to the text line covered by Lifetime Flooring at 641-1010.
Oh, this cold.
Honey?
Honey?
Honey, you need DayQuil Severe Honey.
DayQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a honeylicious taste, because life doesn't stop for a cold.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
Now I'm getting a cold.
Honey.
Try DayQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu relief. DayQuil Severe with honey flavor. The daytime coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, honeylicious, power through your day medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey, it's Angela and Brian Wall. How many companies do you know in this day and age that actually want their potential customers to call their competition and get quotes from them?
That's what WonderWorld wants you to do. WonderWorld knows there are other window companies out there, but we also know those other guys. When compared to WonderWorld, they can't offer you the quality at the price that WonderWorld can.
And with WonderWorld, you get the absolute best guarantee there is in the window replacement business.
If anything goes wrong with your new WonderWorld windows, 5 years from now, 10, 15, 50, WonderWorld and I will be there to fix it for you. You get peace of mind with WonderWorld, and to top it off, WonderWorld windows increase the value of your home. So look what you get with WonderWorld. Quality windows, low price, the best guarantee in the business, energy savings, and an increase in the value of your home. A win-win for you.
Call Window World today and get your free in-home estimate, or see them online at windowworldneflorida.com.
Window World, simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jeff Lageman Tuesday on Jaguars Today is brought to you by Mr. Sparky of the First Coast, your on-time electrician on 1010XL.
Country music singers.
All right, here we go with Jeff Lageman on a Check the Tape Tuesday. Coming to you from Central Georgia, man, taking care of the property. Storms are brewing. We got storms are brewing on the Jaguar front as well. Defensive staff gone. We'll see if any offensive staff members are not retained. But Logs, just overall, doesn't matter what side of the ball it's on, doesn't matter if it's coaching, front office, personnel, whatever. What is your number one priority that the Jags have to accomplish this offseason?
They got to get more physical in the trenches. That's offensive line and defensive line. And the defensive line, obviously, with Josh's contract expiring, that's going to be a big task to undertake. And offensive line, you've got to get more physical. I mean, you just got to be able to have a little bit more balance with your offense. You know, when Trevor got hurt this year, and with the various ailments that he had, whether it was the ankle or the shoulder or the head injury or knee, whatever, you weren't and couldn't lean on a physical offensive line to maybe take a little bit of pressure off with your offense. And I think that's got to change going forward. You know, and you did it with C.J. Beathard for one game, but that was against the Carolina Panthers, who weren't playing particularly well. I think in the future you gotta be able to do that when you want to do that, and that to me is priority number one. And that's both sides of the ball. You got to be more physical.
All right, there you go. Starting right there. Jeff Lageman here with us. You want to get in? 641-1010. We'll prioritize your phone calls. I got a lot of them coming in on social media as well for you, Log. So it's going to be a lot of questions today. We'll see what kind of answers you've got, beginning with Dave in Jax Beach. First up today with Jeff Lageman. Go ahead, Dave. How are you?
Good. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, quick question about Press Taylor. So last year everybody gave him praise for the second half comebacks and all that. How big of a difference is it calling a game down 21, 27 points as opposed to game planning start to finish? And I appreciate y'all taking my call.
Okay.
Well, interesting question, David. So basically, what's it like trying to figure out play calling when you're down 21 or 27, right? Your play calls shrink. And so the call sheet gets much smaller, dramatically smaller, because time is of the essence. And there's not a lot of things that you have in your call sheet that says, okay, well, you know what, I've got this call right here and it's going to score 7. You know, so it makes it harder. And I think that with Press Taylor, you know, and there's a lot of, I can feel it, I can hear it, a lot of people wanting to know, is Press Taylor going to be gone? Should he be gone? I like Press Taylor. You know, I think he's got a great offensive mind. It was his first year as a play caller, and I think he's going to be a lot better in year 2. And the one guy that has an incredible offensive mind, and he's won a Super Bowl with his offensive mind, is Doug Peterson. If Doug Peterson believes that Press Taylor has a good offensive mind, then I believe Doug. And I've got confidence in Doug to make the decision on that side of the ball, because he knows a hell of a lot more about offense than I do. And that will always be the case. So I like Press, and they definitely need to, again, get more physical, and then they can have a little bit more balance. And I think that also will help him as a play caller.
I think I'm trying to interpret Dave's point behind his question, and I believe the way I hear it, he's saying, like, look, when you're down that big, you got no choice but to be hyper-aggressive, go for it, and do all these things. And like you said, you've got a limited call sheet, so you almost are you put your foot on the accelerator and you hope for the best. Whereas this is my interpretation of the question. Whereas when you're putting together the whole game plan, did the game plans come up short because they weren't in that, hey, doesn't matter, there's no tomorrow, we're going to go for it on every 4th down, that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like did he, when having the full control of the offense, and I'm not saying that Doug Peterson doesn't have a lot of influence on the offense, but having that full control, what did that show up that maybe putting together the game plan from start to finish wasn't as effective as in the moment, we got to go, backs to the wall, we got no other choice. Does that make sense?
I mean it does, and it's hard, and I don't know how many times were they down by 21 or 27 all year.
Right, they weren't in. I think they're comparing it to last year, where in the set, where Doug we found out that Press was calling the offense a lot in the second half of games, and we did hail him for saying, "Hey, you know what? That's when they were playing some of their best football. They're in comeback mode, and they're very successful." So I think that I believe that was the point of that question.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I get it. One thing I think too that we're all kind of, it's easy to question coaches, and it's kind of I think a natural reaction a lot of times to want change with the coaching staff, and in some cases that is what's needed. In some cases that's not necessarily what is needed. And with Doug in the situation, look, and he points, and I've watched the press conference that he had yesterday, and I don't agree with everything that he said. He talked a lot about the amount of injuries that they had. And he wasn't trying to use it as a crutch, but he was trying to use it as an explanation as to how sometimes it's hard. And look, offense, continuity is everything when it comes to offense. Defense, you should be able to take in and out different parts. It's just easier to do that. But chemistry and timing are so important to an offense's success or lack of success. And this year they had some injuries on the offensive side of the ball. But the reality is, I don't know if they had any more injuries than the average team in the NFL.
Right.
When you look at it big picture. And the left side of the offensive line, look, it wasn't like you were playing Jalen. If you look at the Tennessee Titans, they're playing Jalen Duncan, a 6th-round pick. It wasn't like the Jaguars had to do something like that. They were playing a guy that played a ton last year in Walker Little. I mean, so it wasn't like you had some slappy that went in there and took reps, and then Ezra Cleveland went in there, and Ezra Cleveland was an upgrade from what you had before. So I don't necessarily buy in that you had a lot of inconsistency. I think the biggest thing that hurt this offense this year was, number one, Trevor getting hurt, and then the lack of physicality of the offensive line. And then you're losing one of your most trusted options, because when Christian Kirk goes out, that's a lot of trust lost. And then when you had Zay as well go out, that's another significant amount of trust that's being lost. And then the guy that you signed and brought on, Calvin Ridley, look, the reality is that the chemistry between Calvin Ridley and Trevor never reached the point or of the level of trust that Trevor was able to get with Christian Kirk or Zay Jones, and it didn't happen all year. So those were the issues with the offense in my mind. And Trevor's got to get better. Trevor's got to get better. He was a turnover machine this year, and he's got to be better. In this past game, he had some opportunities that were lost. And, if you're going to function and be a franchise quarterback in the National Football League, you can't turn the ball over like he did this year.
Was there anything else on the offensive side of the ball? We know the limitations because Kirk is out and these different things that they were dealing with week to week. As you mentioned, the physicality that they just don't have up front, right? Like, it's hard for them to run the ball. It had been all season long. Was there anything else that you felt like they could have or should have tried on the offensive side of the ball that may have given them a spark? Or do you think they extended the options that they had, and when it didn't work, it just didn't work?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to second guess and say, well, maybe if they tried this, it would have been better. The one guy that they had on the roster all year, and Elijah Cooks, you kept him on the roster, but how much was he used? Would I've liked to have seen him used a little bit more, just because of his size when you were having issues with Zay being out and also Christian being out. Yeah, I would like to have seen him get used a little bit more. Could you have used Brenton Strange a little bit more in the passing game and not so much as essentially a glorified fullback? Yeah, I think you could have done more there. But look, I think all of that will be looked at in the offseason by the offensive staff and Doug Peterson, and they're going to take a very hard look at everything that they did, and there's going to be some hard decisions that they have to make going forward. Cam Robinson is still under contract. Does he come back? Is he going to, if he does come back, is he going to play left, or will he end up moving somewhere else? I don't think it's a major overhaul that this offense needs. But you got to take a good hard look at where you're at and a good hard honest look at where you're at. And if you don't do that, you're making a mistake. And when I say that, I'm talking about from a personnel standpoint. You got to look at your personnel and say, okay, are we good enough or are we not good enough? Do we have enough competition? Do we like this guy because he's my guy? Or do we like this guy because he's performing well? I mean, all of those things have to be honest and they have to be completely 100% vetted. Everything has to be looked at.
All right, let's go back to the lines here with Jeff Lageman on a Check the Tape Tuesday. Joe in Arlington is up next. Good morning, Joe.
Hey, you guys, you got me?
Yeah.
All right. I got a couple of points. It's more of like I like to take your opinions off there when I'm off the phone call. But I think the big thing this season was, especially with the firings yesterday, I felt as though that the Caldwell situation was more of a cop-out to me, because like how I looked at it is that they absolutely did nothing on that defense last year. I'm like, coming from last year, like we finished strong, but that defense was like a middle of the pack defense. We always had been like a bend not break. We were able to get to the quarterback this year looking at the sack numbers, but it was only two guys who practically took up the majority of those sacks, because it was Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker had the majority of those sacks, and then the sacks came from nowhere else. You played all this zone. You gave Caldwell literally nothing to work with. You gave him nothing. So, like, I don't understand why it's all his fault. And so he loses his job, but you did nothing offensively. Well, we don't know yet. But if Doug Peterson is the architect of this system, right? If he's the architect of the system, and we've all heard it, that in the first half and the second half, it's been Doug Peterson or either Press Taylor calling the plays. So if both of these guys are calling these plays and it's not working out, I'm like, I don't understand why Press isn't losing his job. And I don't believe that. I don't believe in none of these guys actually losing their jobs, to be honest, because I think it was a player thing as well, because the offensive line was just bad. They were just bad. You only lost Jawan Taylor, and he was one of the most penalized. He was one of the most penalized right tackles in the league. So, like, you lost him. It's just the middle of that line. They really need to.
All right, Joe, you're breaking up here. Logs, not really a question there. Do you feel like Mike Caldwell is a scapegoat?
Well, just like I said with the offense, Mike, about how you got to take a good hard look at what you're doing. You got to do the same thing on the defensive side of the ball. And Joe brings up about how they didn't bring in anything new, and that's a legitimate comment, a legitimate concern. You know, I mean, if you look at what the opportunities were there to improve on the personnel side of the ball, a lot of it was passed up. You know, they just decided to pass on certain guys that would have made this defense, I think, better. Now, they were expecting a lot of improvement from within. And I think that was the case with certain guys. And they were also expecting improvement from some of the younger players. When I say younger players, second-year players and first-year players. And I think they got significant improvement with an Antonio Johnson and Tyler Lacey. I think those guys are certainly going to be good football players for this defense in future years. But then some of the guys that were in year two, you know, Trayvon Walker, he got better. Devin Lloyd, he got better. Okay. But then Tyson Campbell, okay, was hurt a lot. Cisco hurt a lot. Rayshon Jenkins did get better. Kind of stayed the same. Darius Williams, significant improvement. But the guys up front, you didn't get better. And there, I think, lies some of the lost opportunities. You know, what did K'Lavon Chaisson contribute from a defensive standpoint? What did DeJuan Smoot contribute to from a defensive standpoint? And what did you end up doing in the middle with Roy Robertson, Harrison, Fatukasi, and Devon Hamilton? You know, you brought in competition with Tyler Lacey, but that's a fourth-round draft pick. You know, I think you missed out on opportunities, and Mike, you could probably throw the names out there better than I can of guys that could have helped on the edge, which would have allowed maybe Trayvon to play into the middle. You know, so, I mean, I'm not trying to say that Mike Caldwell should have been fired or should have been fired. You know, the reality is in the NFL is that that's going to happen. And I will say this, don't feel sorry for coaches. They've got contracts. They're going to get paid their contract, and they'll catch on somewhere else. But as a whole, you also have to look at it from, did we add enough, and do we have enough tools on defense? And did we have enough to make a jump from year one under Doug Peterson to year two? And I think that is a legitimate question to ask.
Yeah. Well, I'll just give you one guy, Jadeveon Clowney, who they met with in August, finished the regular season with 9.5 sacks. I mean, he's available in August, right? And we talked about all offseason, and whether it was Justin Houston or Melvin Ingram or any number of veteran pass rushers, Kyle Van Noy, there are a bunch of them out there. Montez Sweat. Right, and that if you wanted to go that route and try to acquire, trade for a guy. But in the case of Clowney, he was sitting out there till the middle of August, and the Jags come around and have a visit with him, and he decides to go to the Ravens, who, like, just the week before he'd gotten a contract offer with. Anybody could have had that guy in June or July. Now, granted, he hasn't been a huge sack guy throughout his career, but you've got to project what he's capable of doing. And, it was great, the numbers that Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker put up in the sack department. They didn't get a whole lot of assist right there. All right, we got to take a time out. No. Jeff Logman here with us. Check the Tape Tuesday. Continue to be patient on the phone lines, and we'll get to you in the order that you come in at 641-1010 on the All-Pro Roofing phone lines with Jeff Logman on a Check the Tape Tuesday. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey for Tire Outlet. Are you tired of overpaying for your tires? Well, obviously you're not shopping at Tire Outlet if that's the case. Cruise on in to Tire Outlet. Get the best selection, best quality, and the best prices on the tires you need to keep you and your family safe on the road. Tire Outlet has over 40 years of experience, 14 locations around the First Coast, super convenient, and stocked with just about every tire you could imagine. Over 300,000 in the local inventory, and a full slate of expert technicians ready to do the maintenance and repairs to keep your vehicle performing at its best. Get it all done at Tire Outlet, where you always get wholesale prices and premium service.
It's a Jaguars Today Tuesday on 1010XL.
From the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
Brought to you by Dream Finders Homes. The All-Pro Roofing phone line protects you from boring radio.
Hello?
What are you doing here?
I don't know.
Listen for great phone interviews all day on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
The calls have been pouring in.
On 1010XL.
Okay, for this Cannons of Jacksonville commercial, we need an idea to really come out with a bang.
Like having a guy shot out of a cannon.
Nah, too messy. In fact, Cannons is known for all your towing needs.
So like my car won't start.
No. Towing products. Cannons does custom welding fabrication and installation of trailer hitches, goosenecks, tow bars, truck racks.
So you might say Cannons is my best shot at finding that inventory in stock?
Boom. You said it.
Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
Whether it's a large commercial project or a multifamily property, trust All Pro Roofing for exceptional craftsmanship and unparalleled customer service. We use only the finest materials, ensuring durability and long-lasting results. Plus, All Pro Roofing now has a full siding and windows division. That's right, All Pro Roofing is not just about roofs anymore. All Pro Roofing, now your trusted partner for commercial roofing, multifamily projects, exterior siding, and windows. AllProRoofingLLC.com.
License number CCC 1327056.
CDC 060138.
All year long you'll be singing our song. Stay cooler with Bueller. At the head of our class we make it happen fast. Stay cooler with Bueller. For heating and air we always play fair. We make the difference 'cause we really care. Bueller Air. Stay cooler with Bueller.
JEA is dedicated to keeping your utility costs down, so we offer programs and solutions to help you use less and save more. From simple and easy tips that reduce usage to free in-home efficiency assessments that show you ways to be more energy and water efficient, and efficiency rebates that help you save on appliance upgrades. Because as your community-owned, not-for-profit utility, we're here to serve you, and only you. To learn more, visit JEA.com.
Get fishing tips and stories from Captain Kevin.
Bite's gonna pick up pretty soon.
On the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show. Brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Whoa! Thursday nights at 6.
On 1010XL AM.
If your ride is making strange noises, don't wait and make it worse.
come to Action Transmission on Merrill Road. My expert technicians can diagnose the problem and likely fix it fast. Experience the difference at Action Transmission on Merrill Road.
This is Hayes Carline here to help you break free from the chains of pest infestation. The talk of this town is Kingfish Pest Control. By now, many of your neighbors have already joined the Kingfish Revolution, leaving their homes and lawns protected and pest-free. Now it's your turn. Call Kingfish Pest Control and say goodbye to termites, ants, mosquitoes, and other annoying pests. Trust me, you'll get exceptional service and understand why your neighbors and I use Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jaguars.
Folks, the First Coast has voted. Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute is proud to be chosen as Bold City's best in 4 categories: Best Orthopedic Practice, Physical Therapy, Pain Management, and Foot Care Clinic. For the last 30 years, JOI has continually strived for the highest level of orthopedic surgery and rehab care. As the needs of the community evolve, so will they. That's why coaches, parents, and athletes choose JOI. Call them at JOI 2000 or visit JOI.net. JOI, where the pros go.
Jacksonville's building a fence along the goal line. This is the Superior Fence and Rail Defensive Player of the Game. Superior Fence and Rail, where quality matters.
Josh Allen was a monster in the Volunteer State. The former first-round pick tallied 5 tackles against the Titans, with 2 being solo, and he added 1 sack to his stat line. In a year where he's looking to make big money this offseason, Allen was certainly money for Jacksonville in the contest. Josh Allen is your Superior Fence and Rail's defensive player of the game.
Superior Fence and Rail knows about exceptional customer service. From the first call to the final inspection, Superior's team provides first-class care with great communication, friendly installers, and quality fence products. There's a reason why Superior is the top-rated fence company in Jacksonville. So get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail for your new fence today.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
You've got a circle of friends, right? Well, how about a circle of beer? All your favorites like Bud Light, Bud Heavy, Mick Ultra, or Natty Light. It's all there in the cold case at Circle K. Probably one right around the corner right now calling your name. Slide on in to a Circle K.
Wrestling is coming home. Hear the shadows of the home of the Jaguars. On Wednesday, January 10th. The energy in this building is amazing. Don't miss this elite homecoming celebration when AEW returns to Daly's Place. Listen to the ovation. We will be there live when all your favorite AEW Dynamite and Rampage stars kick off 2024 with a bang. Don't miss Chris Jericho. I'm one of the greatest to ever do this. The Young Bucks, Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, Orange Cassidy, Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, Jon Moxley, Chris Statlander, Eddie Kingston, Tony Storm. Sheeta, Swerve, Hook, the rated R superstar Adam Copeland, Saraya, Darby Allin, The Acclaimed. Everyone loves me! And be there live to pay tribute to the icon Sting. Don't miss AEW's homecoming celebration at Daly's Place. Tickets are on sale now. Go to AEWTix.com. Card, something to change.
This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan, head team physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jags, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
After back-to-back seasons of going 9-8 for the Jags, room for growth continues to be evident. Head coach Doug Peterson spoke on his thoughts of this year being a step back.
Well, I feel fine moving forward. I just think how we finished the last 6 games of the year, how we did it, and we had opportunities to win these games. It wasn't like we were out of a lot of games, down the stretch here. It's we lost the game more than them winning the game, and that's really kind of been our season. Well, I feel.
For more Doug Peterson, visit Jaguars.com. I'm Molly McDonald with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars Update.
XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jeff Lageman Tuesday
is brought to you by
Mr. Sparky of the First Coast, your on-time electrician on 1010XL.
All right, we continue along a Check the Tape Tuesday. Jeff Lageman is here as we look back on the season-ending loss, but really the bigger picture of where the Jaguars stand and what they can hope to get accomplished this offseason to get back to where they want to be, at least in the postseason in 2024. Logs, let's get back to the lines here. They're loaded up and patiently waiting at 641-1010 on the All Pro Roofing phone lines. And Matt and Callahan gets next word. Matt, good morning.
Hey, good morning, fellas. How y'all doing?
Good, thank you.
So, Jeff, you're a defensive mind, and I've said it for a long time, and I know we've got, Josh is a good football player. You'd say he's the leader of the defense, but we don't really have a dog on the defensive side of the ball that comes to a point where it's like, we're not going to let this keep happening. Like, we brought in Calais. I know he didn't sign, but that veteran dog leadership on the defensive side that basically just a Ray Lewis mind of, we are not going to fail, and we aren't going to continue to fail. We had so many missed assignments. I mean, letting Derek run nuts on us Sunday. It's just like there's no mindset on that defensive side where it's like a dog. You know what I mean? Like a true dog. And I know you played for a long time, so you had that dog on your team everywhere you went. You might have been the dog because you're a big fella. But you know what I mean? Like I feel like that's what we're missing. There's no true leadership as far as taking control of that side of the football. And I'll take your comments on the air, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, appreciate it, Matt. And look, when you say dog, I say players that have edge. And we're talking about the same thing. And you bring up a good point. And it's not like you're trying to find guys that are, socially misadjusted and in trouble with the law. And we're just talking about guys that play the game with edge. And they lead with a demanding style. But in order to do that, they've got to have a high level of performance. And so those don't just fall off the tree every year. They're hard to find. And they're special players. I mean, Ray Lewis was such a special player. But yes, you need to find more of those types of players that are willing to lead with great performance and demand more of their team and of their teammates. And the more players that you can find like that, the better chance that you have. And you want them on both sides of the ball. You want them on both sides. I mean, heck, you go back to, the early Jaguar days. I mean, on offense, Baselli was a guy that had edge, and he was a leader. And a lot of people thought, well, quarterback's the natural leader. Well, Baselli was our leader on offense, and he demanded that everybody do things at a high level. Keenan McCardell was one of those guys. Even Jimmy, once he became Jimmy Smith, before when he was just Jimmy trying to get a job and playing special teams, he wasn't quite there, but he evolved into that. And every team needs to find something. This team needs to find more. There's no doubt.
What kind of guys like that do they have now? Certainly talking about guys where their performance has to be up to par. So on defense, you would think have to be a guy like Josh Allen or Foye Oluokun, right? Like those would be the guys that would have to step into those kind of roles on that side of the ball. Do you feel like they have here in the last year or two on the defensive side of the ball for the Jags? And do you feel like there are those guys on the offensive side right now too?
Well, I definitely believe that Foye is a guy that's a leader. Josh is a guy that's a leader. You hope that Trayvon becomes more vocal with the success that he's having, and the more that he matures and the older that he gets. In the back end, I think Wingard is a guy that has excellent leadership. I think Cisco can also provide some of that. He had a difficult year with some of the injury, and that's hard when you're battling injury to be one of that guy. But on offense, you need to find more than just the quarterback who is the guy. Brandon Sheriff, I think, provides some leadership, but you got to have a little bit more of that killer mentality and a little bit more physical play, out of a guy up front if he's going to be one of those leaders. So yeah, you need more on both sides of the ball, and that's always the quest. Look, personnel departments are always trying to find those type of guys. I think Tennessee Titans this past year in the draft, they were hoping that they were going to capture, the next Quentin Nelson when they drafted Peter Skoronski. So they were trying to find a little bit of that. I don't know if they necessarily found that in Skoronski. He didn't have that great of a year as a rookie, but everybody's always trying to find that. And when you got a personnel department that can find it, it's a great way to start.
All right, back to the lines we go. Tony in Mandarin next up here on Jaguars Today. Good morning, Tony.
Hey, how you doing today? Yes, it's a shout out. Happy New Year, guys. Three things. First of all, the defense. It's just one of those things that happen. Derrick Henry, this is his last game. Derrick Henry's always been run over Jacksonville, regardless of how many coordinators before the last 8 years. So that's nothing changed. So he had one of those games, and we put ourselves in that situation where that's right into the Tennessee Titan game. Run, get ahead, and just run the ball. Second thing, the culture. The culture needs to change, period, point blank. Got to have some kind of identity in which you have to play for and to show, and accountability from each other. Third thing, I just thought when Doug Peterson came in last year, I think the other general manager or whoever it was before that got left, I think he should have went with. If you're going to start a new organization, just like Washington, you got to start out fresh. You guys got to go. It's got to go. You just can't have somebody that's coming here and not accountable for the amount of scouting which is done, because there's no way in the world Puka Machu was out there and nobody didn't see as far as scouting, and he just happened to go to Los Angeles. Then you got the other running back from Los Angeles. He was out there, and they were late round. So you have to look on that as far as recruiting on the scouting class. They got to do a real better job to bring these type of players in here and looking, and you have to put stress on it. It has to be a standard. So that's all I got to say. And once again, this is a quote from the Ravens, and I just want to tell you guys showed us earlier this year you didn't have faith in us. You went down on Molar. I'm just coming back. We're going to win the Super Bowl. And like I said, hey, just come in the culture. If you guys get someone like the Ravens, you play like a Raven, play like a Jaguar. That's all I got to
say. All right. Response to any of that, Logs?
I mean, which part is
any
worth
part
a
you like?
Here?
Yeah.
Any part you like? How about the Trent Baalke aspect of it? Right? Where does Trent Baalke fall in culpability for where things stand?
Well, I mean, it's fair. I mean, the criticism is fair across all aspects when you have a team that loses 5 out of the last 6. And is it the coaching staff's fault that a lot of the draft picks that this past class, didn't contribute much this past year? I mean, look, you got a lot of production, I thought, out of Anton Harrison, and he was a good pick, and I think he's a future starter at left tackle. You question Brenton Strange a little bit. I don't question him as a good player, but it's just if you're going to pick a player in the second round, and that's the role that you're going to have for him in the future, then why did you use a second round pick on that player? But again, I like him. I think he's a really good football player. Tank Bigsby. Was it Tank Bigsby not contributing a lot this year, or was it just a lack of confidence? Well, he didn't give you a reason to be confident about him earlier in the year. Parker Washington, okay, had a decent job on defense. Tyler Lacey, I think he's got a good future for this football team. Antonio Johnson, I think he's got a good future for this football team. But the reality is that are you getting better to the level that you should with the personnel? And I think that's a fair question. That's why I say you got to look at everything. And look, I think Trent's done a really good job in some aspects. In some other aspects, maybe not as good. Because you didn't make the playoffs in year 2. And when you don't make the playoffs in years 2, you got to look at everything as not being good enough and trying to find a way to get better with it. And Trent needs to be part of that process too, that you look at and, hey, are we doing things to the level that we need to be doing? And if not, then get better. Got to get better.
Well, and I think the point too about a guy like Kyron Williams, he was a 5th round pick when they decided to take Snoop Connor instead, and they could have had Kyron. I mean, some of the direct. Everybody misses on players, right? I mean, if everyone knew what Puka Nacua was going to be, nobody would have let him last to the 5th round this year. Every GM, exactly, including the Rams for that matter, should not have let him get to the 5th round. Now, they were fortunate that they were able to select him, but when you are taking a player at a specific position over another player that stars, and like Snoop Connor's not a part of this football team, and you're drafting another running back the very next year in the 3rd round, and he basically does nothing for you this year, I think those are really, really fair and pointed criticisms.
Well, the reality is that the draft is a percentage game. And if you believe that it's not, then I think you're going to continue to make mistake after mistake after mistake because you're like, okay, he's fine. We don't need to draft that again. I think the better off you are, and the better off you're going to be is the sooner you recognize that the draft is a percentage game and you're going to miss. So that if you make a mistake, then you don't continue to make mistakes. And Mike and Tony, you've heard me talk for years. You go back in the Jaguars' early days. Okay, you pick Blake Bortles, and is he the guy? And look, I love Blake and love him as a person and good dude. Okay, but is he a franchise guy? The answer after the first contract should have been no. And if you came to that conclusion, then you would have been in the market for a quarterback. But because the general manager drafted Blake Bortles, then you decided, hey, look, he is a franchise guy, but the truth is he wasn't. So that took you out of the quarterback market. Well, what you did is you tried to supplement, what you thought was a franchise quarterback with a running back in Leonard Fournette. Well, you bypassed quarterbacks in that process. You bypassed the quarterback who, oh, by the way, is pretty good in Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes. You passed up Lamar Jackson. So then you decided to part ways with Blake Bortles. Well, then you went and spent a ton of money in free agency on Nick Foles. Well, herein lies another mistake. And then once Nick Foles got hurt, then it's Gardner Minshew. Well, then Gardner Minshew is going to be our franchise guy. So you see what I'm saying is that, okay, just that decision that you thought Blake Bortles was your franchise quarterback led to the mistake of, one, giving him a contract extension, bypassing on future potential franchise quarterbacks that led to the Nick Foles contract with guaranteed money for a guy that shouldn't have been given that. And then it also led to the wasted amount of time that you spent with Gardner Minshew believing that he was a franchise quarterback. So my point is that you've got to understand your mistake, recognize them, and then move on. And if you don't, you just continue to make mistakes like that perfect example right there.
All right, halfway home. Be patient. We'll get to you if you are staying on the lines. I promise you at 641-1010, we'll prioritize you as we continue along in hour 2 here with Jeff Lageman on a Check the Tape Tuesday. Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark, Mike Dempsey here with you as well. You're listening to Jaguars Today. Keep it right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey for Underdog Fantasy. Your fantasy football season could be over, probably is, but you can still win money playing fantasy sports on Underdog with their pick'em game throughout the NFL playoffs. Just pick higher or lower on players' stats during the playoffs and spice up the games, and you can win up to 100 times your money if all your picks hit. Underdog is really easy to play. It's even easier to get started. All you have to do is download their app or visit UnderdogFantasy.com. And when you sign up, use promo code 1010XL. And if you do, Underdog will double your first deposit all the way up to $100. And they'll give you a special pick, easy peasy, of higher than 1/2 total yards to use on your first pick'em entry. And that's an automatic winner. Look for daily fantasy sports everywhere, but certainly look at Underdog for their pick'em game and sign up using promo code 1010XL. You do have to be 18 or older, present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. If you're concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
Jaguars Today Tuesday on 1010XL is brought to you by Dream Finders Homes.
From the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
A judge has a gavel. I've got a hammer. I'm Hayes Carlian. It's Hammer Time with Hayes. Weekdays on The Frangie Show on 1010XL. Brought to you by Golden Hammer Roofing and Gutters, the golden standard in roofing.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes, and right before the holiday break, I was down 30 pounds with Awaken 180. Did I pack on 5 pounds during the holiday festivities? Nope. I lost another 3 during the toughest time for weight loss. You've heard Mike Dempsey and I rave about the simplicity of Awaken 180, but let me paint a clearer picture. We're talking about a program so straightforward, even a couple of normal guys like us aced it. And if we could do it, there's no doubt you can too. In 2 months, I've dropped 33 pounds, and the weight is practically melting off without any of the sweating. Do you have to run to lose weight with Awaken 180? Absolutely not. Exercise is great and encouraged, but if losing weight is your goal, it's about what you put in your mouth. I'm back at the gym, but you don't have to. No gym, no meds. Just listen to your coach, and boom, it's that simple. Eat to lose weight with the clear solution for weight loss, Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Do what Mike and I did and call 844-346-1800 or schedule your January consultation at awaken180weightloss.com.
Your AC's broke, it ain't no joke. Call Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. FloridaHomeAC.com.
Is your house exterior due for a wash? First Coast Home Pros has thousands of 5-star reviews for a reason. They get amazing results on even the toughest pressure washing jobs. Schedule now at firstcoasthomepros.com.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
This is Hayes Carline for SkyLife Elite. Are you tired of canceled flights, unruly passengers, and layovers? Call my friends at SkyLife Elite. Consider using private charter flights for your next adventure. Yes, you can afford it. Make your own schedule. Fly direct. Drive your car to Craig Airport and get directly on the plane. SkyLife Elite can make that happen. Call 490-9332, go to flyskylife.com, and find them on social media. Fly SkyLife Elite, North Florida's premier private air charter.
What does it feel like to file with TaxSlayer and get your guaranteed maximum refund? It feels like the last level of a video game, facing off against the final boss who stands between you and your refund.
All your refund has belonged to me.
Using the power of TaxSlayer like a secret power-up he doesn't see coming.
Only the most tax-confident can defeat me.
Throwing your laptop at his video game face and watching him crumble into a giant pile of shiny coin tax refunds.
Oh, not fair. You use TaxSlayer.
Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
Visionaries, builders, and doers, are you ready to change the world? Miller Electric is your opportunity to shape the future. Miller Electric is leading the charge in electric vehicle technology with our state-of-the-art EV Innovation Design Center. We're working to create a sustainable future. We're also the proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, powering their performance at the brand new Miller Electric Center. Miller Electric, we provide competitive pay, unbeatable benefits. Apply today. MillerCareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Attention veterans, if you have a VA loan, you need to listen to this, especially if your current rate is higher than 6.5%. Now is the time to take advantage of the federal government's VA Streamlined Refinance Program. With my friends at Loan Pronto, you can. Go to loanpronto.com. Prosser here, and Loan Pronto has fixed rate APRs in the 5s. You can drop your rate now. Lower your payment with no income documentation and no appraisal. Do it at loanpronto.com. Their all-digital platform makes it easy. They can even cover your closing costs. If you need cash now, Loan Pronto can get you up to 100% of your home value. You can pay off all your credit cards or other debt and save as much as $1,000 a month. Call Loan Pronto now at 904-999-1508 or get a 30-second rate quote at loanpronto.com. Ask about streamlined VA loans, no income doc, and no appraisal. Loan Pronto, 999-1508 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Universal Roof and Contracting presents the Offensive Player of the Game. Universal Roof and Contracting. The difference is universal.
Evan Ingram shined bright for Jacksonville against Tennessee. The teal and black tight end finished the contest with 79 yards on 10 receptions and added 1 touchdown in what was a solid outing for the 7-year pro. Ingram put on a showcase that would make any Jags fan happy, and the fan base should be excited for what he has in store next year. Evan Ingram is your Universal Roof and Contracting Offensive Player of the Game.
Hey, Jags fans, are you tired of roof leaks raining on your parade? Don't worry, Universal Roof and Contracting has got you covered. Their expert team of roofers will get your roof back in the game so you can focus on cheering on the Jags. Locally owned and operated, they've serviced Florida homeowners for over 30 years. Visit universalroof.com to schedule your free estimate today. Universal Roof and Contracting, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. License number CCC 1330747, CBC 1258484.
Here's your 1010XL local sports update, sponsored by First Coast Honda Dealers. FSU lands Alabama transfer wide receiver Malik Benson. His past season as a junior, Benson played in 14 games for the Crimson Tide, notching 13 receptions for 162 yards and 1 touchdown. Florida Gator basketball failed to land in the top 25 coaches poll once again following the loss to Kentucky. Head coach Todd Golden liked the players' passion and placed the loss on failing to make shots.
I thought we did a good job of trying to stay aggressive offensively and just didn't knock them down.
The next top 25 opponent opponent is number 23 Ole Miss. Florida defensive line signee L.J. McCray was named the Anthony Munoz Lineman of the Year award winner at the All-American Bowl on Saturday. McCray finished his senior season with 77 total tackles and 13 sacks. The Munoz Award is presented annually to the best lineman, offense, or defense. At your 1010XL local sports update, I'm Sam Nelson on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
At 11:03, it's 73 degrees. Time and 10 brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jeff Lageman Tuesday is brought to you by Mr. Sparky of the First Coast, your on-time electrician on 1010XL.
All right, keep them coming in at 641-1010. People obviously have a lot of questions, comments that they want to get off their chest because nobody's dropping as we hit the breaks, and that is a sign of great interest. So we'll continue along here. Logs in hour number 2 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Not going to solve every problem today, but trying to at least get Jeff's thoughts on a number of the issues facing the Jaguars as they head into the offseason. Let's go out to Live Oak and welcome Kwame to the show. Kwame, you're on Jaguars Today. Go ahead, please.
Hey, morning, fellas.
Good morning.
Hey, I got 2 issues with the defense to you guys for input. Did it seem like more times we were just out of position than like a lot of games just actually getting beat? I mean, it was a few times. Montero Brown, he played good, then a late round pick. And then my other question was, if we had got Danielle Hunter, whose spot would he have taken? Because Trayvon and Josh are the 2 outside linebackers, so will we have pushed Trayvon in or what?
Okay. Logs, I guess the first one, was it more, what was the root cause of some of the problems on defense? Were guys not getting lined up properly, out of position? Was the scheme bad? I'm sure there's some of all of this that happened, but what do you take away from that first question?
Well, a lack of communication. And look, the same thing happened on the offensive side of the ball. Perfect example is the interception that Trevor threw that was intended for Zay that appeared to be overthrown. Clearly, quarterback and wide receiver were not on the same page. So it's not just isolated to the defensive side of the ball. I think it is on both sides of the ball. The second part, what would Danielle Hunter do to this defense and how would Trayvon's role change? Look, have you ever, or Mike, if you're the defensive coordinator, can you ever have too many edge rushers?
They tell me no. They say that's a big no, Tony. That you got to right. I would imagine, because they did show some interest in Danielle Hunter, that he would be playing every down as an outside backer, and that Trayvon would have moved inside in that scenario. Jeff, or do you think there would be some other? Well, I'm sure you rotate guys to some degree, so there would have been downs where he's not on the field. Even Josh Allen comes off the field for like 15% of the snaps or whatever. So, but isn't that the most obvious answer that they would have, to get all these guys on the field, Trayvon would have played inside more?
Gosh, defensive coordinators beg for that kind of a problem to have, right? Who am I going to play out of all these great players? And when you got great players, you can find roles for great players, and you can manipulate the scheme and play a scheme that has all 3 of those guys on the field at the same time, as well as to rotate them. So that would not be a problem in anybody's mind.
Do they right now, because it's going to be a fresh look on the defensive side, Jeff Logman's the defensive coordinator for a day. You want to play a 3-4 or a 4-3 based on the personnel you have?
Oh, that's a great question. Look, even though they were playing a 3-4, most of the principles that everybody plays nowadays, because of the percentages of 3 wide receiver sets, everybody's playing, for the most part, a 4-down look. When they go to the base packages, which again is about 35 or less percent of the snaps, then it becomes, okay, do you play 3-4? And a lot of times when teams are playing 3-4, it's a lot of the same principles of a 4-3. But I've said this, and I'm going to stick with this. I believe Trayvon is a perfect left end in a 4-3. When I say left end, I'm not talking about a guy that is playing in that style of Calais Campbell, where he's what they call a big end, and he's lined up inside the tackle. I'm talking about more of a Cleveland Browns type of a 4-3 where Trayvon could be a wide 9. So if I'm picking the defense, I'm looking at what Cleveland does. Where they're playing those wide 9s and they're getting after it.
If you had, let's say right now, personnel-wise, let's say you did play a 4-3, right? Oluwakin, your middle linebacker, is Devin Lloyd and Chad Muma. Is that good enough for your 3 linebacker group? Obviously, Josh Allen and Trayvon would be your ends, and you'd have some kind of combination of the other guys as your defensive tackles. Is that enough? Like, how good would that group be, or would that be sufficient in your mind? I guess.
Well, I mean, you got Ventrell Miller, but he's coming back from Achilles.
We don't know.
He hasn't been healthy. He wasn't healthy at Florida, but he's got, the speed at least before the injury. So I like Foye. Foye's consistent. He's dependable. He's available, and he's an absolute tackling machine. Devin Lloyd's got to get better. I think that he's got a real knack for the ball, and I like the improvement that he was able to make from year 1 to year 2. But, again, you got to get better. And the one thing that he lacks, which, the one area that you would like to maybe get is faster at that position. And is Muma the answer there? I don't know if he's necessarily that. But the thing I like about Muma, he's been dependable. He's been fairly productive on special teams, but it's not like he's drawing rave reviews on special teams. And when he's been on defense, he hasn't been as good as Devin Lloyd. And is Devin Lloyd good enough or fast enough? It's a great question. And I think you'd like to get faster always as a team. Team speed is always at the top of the list for personnel guys when they start evaluating teams.
All right, Jeff Logman here. We continue along, 641-1010 on the All-Pro Roofing phone lines. Papa G up next. Good morning, Papa G.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are we doing?
Good. What's up?
Well, listen, man, I've been a Jaguar ticket holder since day one, man, and I really appreciate Jeff and Tony and everybody hanging out here in Jacksonville and making it their home. Jeff, you've matured into more of a defensive, not just defensive, man. You know the entire team, man. And I wish, if in my perfect world, right now, I wish Shad Khan would put you and Tony and Freddie T behind closed doors and ask you guys, what do we need to do to fix this? That's what I would like to see. Listen, I don't have a lot of respect for our general manager. I don't think he is a big fan of our head coach. It was 35 days between his first come in and his last come in. I don't think Trent Baalke is a big fan of Doug Peterson. I think he needs to go. So I'm going to hang up and listen to you. Thanks.
All right, Logs, what do you say to that?
Me and Tony and Fred in a room with the owner. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, and nor is it needed.
Does whether that meeting takes place on the yacht or in an office building have any impact on your decision there,
well,
Jeff?
Or the woods?
Tony, I was thinking that, that the three of us probably should have a meeting, maybe somewhere that's tropical, that involves fruity drinks, and a week-long trip where we can really get to the root of some of these issues, right?
Yeah, by the way, the whole Doug Peterson interview, then it took a month to hire him. To me, I never got the sense that that has anything to do with Trent Baalke's opinion about Doug Peterson, whether he likes him or not. Isn't hiring the coach the Shad Khan decision, right? Or
yeah, that's.
Am I wrong about
Shad.
that?
Yeah, no, that's Shad. That's Shad's decision, and Shad has said that when you look at the structure, that both general manager and coach report to him. That means that the coach doesn't report to the general manager, and the general manager doesn't report to the coach. So it's if you're looking at the flow chart, they're at the same level.
Yeah, I think people try to read, motives into different things. If Trent Baalke really had that kind of power and didn't like Doug Peterson, why would he hire him at all? Right? I mean, whether he waited 30 days, what would change in 30 days?
And I know it's something we've talked about with all the cycling of coaches and GM conversations we've had over the past 4 or 5 years, right? But do you think, Jeff, that the idea may still be there to add that extra layer like he had with Tom Coughlin as the EVP? Is that something that Shad Khan, do you think, would still consider as somebody between the GM and the head coach and himself?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's would that be considered or not? I mean, I have no idea. I mean, is it something that would be good? I mean, it could be. If look, let me put it this way: if you can bring in great people, okay, to lead the organization, okay, that's always good. Okay, and even if you've got great people already, if you add more great people, it increases your chances of success. So I wouldn't be against anything like that.
Yeah, specifically, people have brought up, hey, Rick Spielman, let's bring in Rick Spielman. The Commanders signed Rick Spielman like 2 days ago as part of their advisory committee to restructure their front office and their coaching staff. So he's not available. Even if they were going to go down that road, he was a guy they obviously had a dalliance with in the recent past. So just, for the folks who – I get it. Not everybody keeps up with the moment-to-moment NFL news from every team around the National Football League. That's why Tony takes you around the NFL every day. We'll do that coming up next. But we've got stacked phone lines. We'll continue along on a Check the Tape Tuesday. Your questions for Jeff Lageman here on Jaguars Today. Keep it right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
1010XL Jaguars Today Tuesday is brought to you by Dream Finders Homes. Homes built to fit your lifestyle.
From the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
The All-Pro Roofing phone line protects you from boring radio.
Hello?
What are you doing here?
I don't know.
Listen for great phone interviews all day on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
The calls have been pouring in.
On 1010XL.
If it's time to update your old, unreliable AC system, then make the bold move to Bold City Heating and Air. Local family ownership means Bold City AC can provide fast, premium service with a more competitive price. And listen to this. Call to get your new AC system installed this month and take advantage of 12 months with no payments and no interest financing. That's a whole year of no payments with no interest on your new AC system. So be comfortable, be bold, and schedule a free estimate today at boldcityac.com.
Hey folks, Mike Dempsey here for Pella Windows and Doors. Look, it's kind of cooling down right now. I love opening my windows up this time of year. If you're looking to upgrade your windows in your home, I want you to visit the Pella showroom on Phillips Highway. Ask about their latest hurricane and impact-resistant windows and doors, rated #1 by Consumer Reports in all 3 main window categories. You want quality, style, and protection? Visit PellaJacks.com and the showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. That's Pella Windows and Doors online at PellaJacks.com.
Hicken here as we bid farewell to the old and welcome the new. Let's make it a year of clear vision and bright smiles. You see, Bowden Eye & Associates understands the importance of healthy eyes and clear sight. They're here to help you see the world in all its vibrant glory. Picture this, a year filled with laughter, adventure, and crystal clear vision. Routine eye exams or advanced vision correction procedures, they got you covered. Call or visit them online today to schedule your personal consultation. Bowden Eye & Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
Hey, Scarline here. Tired of missing out on the conversation due to hearing loss? At Jacksonville Hearing and Balance, their team of audiologists led by Dr. Douglas Green can help you rediscover the joy of connection. Visit jhbi.org today.
Grilling up lunch with Leon and the Sausage Dudes. Sausage with a purpose.
Join me, Leon Searcy, for XL Primetime, weekdays for Lunch with Leon.
On 1010XL.
I downblock it with all my funk.
Now that's what I call high-quality H2O. If you want high-quality H2O in your home, call your local water boy, Keith, at Kanai Water Jacksonville. That's Kenai Water Jacksonville.
Start your new year off healthy and get screened at Ackerman Cancer Center with on-site imaging, including whole-body MRI, PET and CT scans, and mammography. Early detection is key. Visit AckermanCancerCenter.com.
Don't miss the biggest basketball rivalry in the city as your UNF Ospreys host the JU Dolphins in the River City Rumble. Friday, January 12th at UNF Arena. North Florida opens ASUN Conference play at home with JU, and this is a blue out, so remember to wear your blue. Friday, January 12th at UNF Arena, tipping off at 7. Get tickets at UNFOspreys.com. UNFOspreys.com. Swoop.
Baloo for Shinatri Chiropractic. They've helped me get rid of my headaches and pain in my neck and back. Are you suffering from an auto accident? What about TMJ pain? Headaches associated with jaw clenching, grinding of the teeth, or stress-related disorders? Shinatri Chiropractic has a physical therapist on staff for rehabilitation, quality chiropractic care, dry needling, massage, and acupuncture. Call 743-6700 or go to shinatridc.com.
Discover the difference that local expertise makes at First Coast Lighting and Fans. Visit their showroom at the Avenues and browse high-quality products to match your desire for elegance, quality, and uniqueness at First Coast Lighting and Fans.
All Elite Wrestling is coming home.
Here in the shadows of the home of the Jaguars.
On Wednesday, January 10th.
The energy in this building is amazing.
Don't miss this elite homecoming celebration when AEW returns to Daly's Place.
Listen to the ovation.
Will you be there live when all your favorite AEW Dynamite and Rampage stars kick off 2024 with a bang? Don't miss Chris Jericho.
I'm one of the greatest to ever do this.
The Young Bucks, Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, Orange Cassidy, Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, Jon Moxley, Chris Statlander, Eddie Kingston, Tony Storm. Sheeta, Swerve, Hook, the Rated R superstar Adam Copeland, Saraya, Darby Allin, The Acclaimed.
Everyone loves me.
And be there live to pay tribute to the icon Sting. Don't miss AEW's homecoming celebration at Daly's Place. Tickets are on sale now. Go to AEWTix.com. Card, something to change.
Yo, this is Tony from Tony D's. Are you looking for a great slice of pizza? Well, we have about 12 varieties. Most places won't have slices of pizza after lunch. At Tony D's, you can get a slice all day. It's always fresh at Tony D's Pizza. Bay Meadows and 295.
Hear the Florida Gators all season on 1010XL. Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jeff Lageman, Tuesday,
Is brought to you by
Mr. Sparky of the First Coast, your on-time electrician on 1010XL.
You know, Tone, when you see somebody wearing something that doesn't fit what you typically see them in, you ask them, did you lose a bet? In the case of Tom McManus, the answer is yes. Right?
Yeah.
Apparently he had just like a gentleman's bet on the Michigan-Bama game. Thought that Bama was going to kick their butt.
Mm-hmm.
And, you can't beat the cheaters, man. Cheaters steamroll you because they cheat. So Tommy lost a bet to a fan of the cheaters, and he was rocking a Michigan jersey around these parts. So just so you know, he paid it off, you dirty cheaters. All right, let's go around the National Football League.
Now, gems around the NFL. Brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
X-rays have come back on the finger injury that Jalen Hurts suffered Sunday. They were negative and didn't reveal any fracture for Hurts. Eagles wide receivers A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are both expected to be available for their playoff game on Monday night as well. Buffalo wide receiver Gabe Davis suffered a PCL sprain during the Bills' win over Miami on Sunday night. The injury is not considered major. His status for their wild card matchup against Pittsburgh yet to be determined. Detroit head coach Dan Campbell said on Monday that tight end Sam Laporta still has the chance to play against the Rams on Sunday. Wide receiver Jameson Williams, who did not play in the regular season finale due to an ankle injury, will play against the Rams. Dallas head coach Mike McCarthy said that Stephon Gilmore will have a chance to play with a harness against Green Bay after they got the MRI results. He suffered a shoulder injury this weekend. And Miami linebackers Jerome Baker, Cameron Good, and Andrew Van Ginkel could all miss the playoffs for the Dolphins. Baker and Good have already been ruled out for their run. Baker after having wrist surgery. Good after suffering a torn patellar tendon. Van Ginkel suffered a foot injury on Sunday that could keep him out for the series as well.
They are beat the heck on the defensive side of the ball, to be sure. And you got a team that struggled offensively at times, though, in Kansas City, facing them. Wouldn't we like to be part of that conversation? All right, Logs, let's get back to it as we continue along on a Check the Tape Tuesday with Jeff Lageman here. Josh is checking in all the way from New York this morning. Josh, you're on Jaguars Today. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so I was watching NFL Network, and they were talking about the reason Press Taylor will never get fired from Doug Peterson is because he came up with the Philly special. Back in 2012, Press Taylor's brother, Zach, was a quarterback coach for Miami. Chip Kelly was visiting Miami, and Press Taylor was visiting his brother. They all sat down and talked. Followed the next year, Chip Kelly got hired. He brought in Press Taylor as the lowest job possible, and his job was only to find trick plays. So go back 3 years. Then Doug Peterson takes over. He only kept a couple people from Chip Kelly's era in Philly. One of them was Press Taylor to keep finding trick plays, move forward to the NFC Championship. They were blowing out I think it was the Vikings so much they didn't get a chance to call the play. Then they called it in the Super Bowl. So Press Taylor is linked to Doug Peterson legacy with the Super Bowl win and the Philly special. I'll take your comments off the air.
I mean, if you're trying to say that those two guys, if one of them's going, probably both of them are going, I tend to agree with you, right? Like, I think that's the situation that the organization is in. Doug Peterson is a fan of Press Taylor. Nobody else has to be, right? Like, no one else is making that change except Doug Peterson. Doug believes in Press. If you don't, then you're going to have to deal with it.
And I'm sure, Logs, that a play call as dramatic as that was, which is the signature play call in that Super Bowl championship, means a lot. I don't think that gives you a free pass for life.
No.
I doubt Doug Peterson feels that way either. I think that's just speculation. I mean, I didn't hear the segment, but that sounds like people just speculating like, well, he called the Philly special. He's safe forever. He can do no wrong. I don't think that is factual.
Yeah, they both got let go of in Philly. They weren't safe there.
Right. So, but in terms of Peterson making the move on him, I think that, it's a feather in your cap, but I don't think that lasts forever. What do you think?
No, you don't get a pass, a pass that says, okay, get out of getting fired anytime you want because you came up with one play. The reason that Press Taylor is there is, one, because he's a good football coach, and two, is that Doug Peterson trusts him. And when you're a head coach, you want to surround yourself with people that you trust and you believe in. And Doug clearly trusts and believes in Press Taylor. And there's nothing wrong with that. And the more coaches that you can find that you put that kind of faith in, the better off I think any staff is going to be. It's just anything you do, you want to have people that you can trust and you believe in. And so, I don't quite understand that one play gives somebody a free pass for a lifetime of employment.
All right. Thank you for the call, Josh. As we move along closer to home here, Mark is in Orange Park. Next on Jaguars Today. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Good. What's up, man?
Good. Look, we all know that Doug Peterson is the ultimate players coach, okay? And Jeff, what I'm about to say, I know you know this, okay? Professional players are human beings as well, okay? So you always hear people say, the professionals, they don't need to be motivated. They don't need an edge. They bring that themselves. A lot of them do. But like I said, every professional athlete is built differently, okay? Now, I'm not saying you need a coach that's Vince Lombardi or Bobby Knight, okay? But you have – when things are too comfortable, even professional players can lose their edge. That can happen. And, I'm not saying it is too comfortable. I'm not there. I don't know. But, players, and not only players, coaches as well, you can lose your edge when you have too much of a relationship with the coach. That can also be a bad thing, okay? Not saying that the players don't play hard for them or anything like that, but when you're winning and you have a players coach, everything is great. When you're losing and you have a players coach, people can tend to tune you out. I mean, you don't have to fear the coach, but you have to maybe fear the consequences of not performing, and that goes for coaches and players. And I don't know. It seems like some of them have lost the edge. So thank you for taking my call.
Logs, how do you respond to that?
No, I appreciate the thought, and that that sometimes a player's coach can, make the room more relaxed than it needs to be when things aren't going well. But, on the flip side of that, what about a non-player's coach or an ogre of a coach and you're losing? I mean, they can tune out that coach as well, too. So look, I think it's a mistaken title if you're naming or considering that Doug Peterson is a quote player's, because the player's coach in a lot of instances can have a bad misunderstanding of what the definition is. If you're saying that Doug Peterson understands his football team and can have communication with his players on an individual basis, sure, then he's a player's coach. Does it mean that he can't be hard and demanding because he's a player's coach? No. I think Doug is demanding and hard on his players at times, and that's what you got to have. Look, Doug's won a Super Bowl, so to question Doug or to question some of his decision making when he's taken a team to the promised land, I think can be a little bit over the top.
I'll say this.
I believe.
Locks, let me just interject. Was Doug Peterson not a player's coach last year when they were 2-6? And did they tune him out, or did they play with an edge the rest of the season?
Hit all the right buttons last year.
I mean, it's the same guy.
You don't lose that. Yeah, you don't lose that from one year to the next. And look, there's no doubt that things got to be different for this football team, and Doug is still the guy to lead this football team. And I believe in Doug. Look, I believe in him wholeheartedly, and I think that there's aspects of the organization that need to improve, including some of the coaching decisions. I'm not saying that everybody should get a pass or one person should get a pass. All aspects need to be looked at, and all aspects need to be improved where it needs to be improved.
Let's go to John on the west side next here on Jaguars Today. Good morning, John.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Good luck today, Jeff. Real quick, I'm glad they made the change. It didn't just start with the Tennessee game. Last year, you let Heineke go 100 yards, and you had that team beat. You let a one-legged Patrick Mahomes beat you. Tampa Bay made you look foolish. San Francisco made you look like you didn't show up. You let Browning and Flacco look like Johnny Unitas. The scheme's got to change. I can't watch Josh Allen chasing a running back out of the backfield anymore. In my opinion, I'm an old school guy. I believe defense wins championships, and I'll take your comments off the air. Thanks.
Yeah, defense definitely can win you championships, but a high-scoring offense can as well.
Much more likely in today's NFL than the alternative.
And it takes all of it, and definitely they need to look at scheme. And I'm not saying that the scheme that they had before was bad, but the lack of communication and some of the explosive plays that they allowed this year because of the lack of communication and some of the performances at critical moments, namely you look at Tampa and Tennessee down the line, those were inexcusable.
All right, one more in on this side of the break here with Jeff Logman on a Check the Tape Tuesday. Garcia on the south side is next up at 641-1010. Good morning, Garcia.
Hey, guys. A couple questions here. I guess my two main questions are who's accountable for the offensive coordinator, coaching, and GM. I mean, I just feel like we were, the city was failed there. I mean,
Garcia, just so we understand what you're at, what do you mean who's responsible for the offensive coordinator, coaching, and GM?
Who's holding them accountable for for the product that happened? I mean, we melted down after going 8-3. If I produce at such a low output at my job, I'm gone, or at least I'm getting talked to.
Okay, the only guy who can hold Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke accountable is Shad Khan, Logs, and fans can have every right to be upset if they feel like they're not getting the changes they want. But I mean, it's Shad Khan's
it's not a mystery as
here.
To who's making that decision.
It's Shad Khan. If Shad doesn't want to change from Doug Peterson, and I'm with you, Logs, I don't want to change from Doug Peterson either. Trent Baalke may be a different story here, but it doesn't appear that they're going to go down that road. But this is all up to the owner whether he makes that level of move, right?
Yeah, The organization, I think, is set up to where Doug and Trent report directly to the owner, just as Mark Lamping reports to the owner. And that's kind of how it works. So the owner's not going to sit there and go, okay, you know what, you need to change the offensive coordinator. Now, if he said that, then it probably would happen. But that's not the way the flow chart works. The head coach is in charge of the coordinators. The general manager is in charge of the personnel department, and they both directly report to the owner.
All right, Garcia, appreciate the call. We got one final segment with Jeff Lageman. We'll try to pass along a few more of your questions from social media. We've got some of our own. I want to get into the interior of that offensive line a little bit with the Logs as well. Jeff Lageman here on a Check the Tape Tuesday. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark as well on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. You know what? Whether you're in a duck blind or driving around Duval, wherever you are, you know what? Your belly's going to get grumbling at some point, and you're going to realize, I didn't make a great plan for this afternoon for lunch. Maybe you're just hungry on the go. Maybe you need a little snack to get you through the afternoon. Whatever the case, Dandy Sandwiches and Subs, that's the company. They've got you covered with the Dandy and Anytime Deli line. Great sandwiches, great subs. That should be obvious by now. But breakfast items, breakfast sliders, light lunchtime wraps, salads, protein packs, veggie trays, fruit cups, little something for everybody wherever you are in terms of how hungry you are or what you need to get you through the day. Danny's got your back with food made with the highest quality ingredients, locally sourced as often as possible. Fantastic variety. They keep the prices down. It's a successful formula that has helped Dandy thrive as a Jacksonville-based company for over 65 years. Think Dandy when you're hungry and do what I do. Go out and make yours a Dandy and do it today.
1010XL, Jaguars Today Tuesday.
From the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios. Brought to you by Dream Finders Homes, official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. 1010XL puts the ball in play-by-play.
Kick on the way!
Impeccable today.
From way downtown.
That ball's ripped.
For play-by-play, it's 1010XL.
When the sun goes down, you might think a golf course shuts down, but not at the Golf Club of Southampton. Join the gang every Thursday night for trivia with Brooke and Jason, and everybody's favorite night, Friday night on the patio, featuring local musicians, food, and drink. It's all at the Golf Club of Southampton. Great golf. You've come to expect that. But don't forget, when night falls, the fun doesn't stop. Trivia every Thursday night and Southampton's live music patio session Fridays. Call 287-PLAY to make a tee time and the good time.
The Inflation Fighter is back and saving you thousands at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Mia here, and right now, 0 down and just $288 per month gets you a pre-owned 2021 Toyota Corolla. Or you choose a pre-owned 2021 Camry, RAV4, or Tacoma for 0 down and only $388 per month. But Arlington doesn't stop there. How about no payments till May 2024 and Arlington's friendly Credit for Everyone program? Don't wait. Save thousands and shop arlingtontoyota.com today.
Were you forced into a nosebleed mortgage rate in this past year? Loan Pronto is here to rescue you. Hey, it's Prosser. Listen, if your mortgage rate is over 7, you're going to be in heaven with Loan Pronto's zero-cost refi. You can cut your house payment by hundreds of dollars and even do it with zero closing costs and no appraisal. Rates have plummeted to the lowest point in nearly 12 months, and it's time to say goodbye to that bad loan you got stuck with. Loan Pronto's got APRs with fixed rates in the 5s. So don't live with that record high a day longer. You can lock in a lower rate now with virtually no paperwork or cost involved. Call now and see how much lower you can get your house payment. Refi now, and you can even skip your next 2 house payments altogether. Call for a free 30-second quote, 904-999-1508. At loanpronto.com, you can find out more. 904-999-1508. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Football season means time on the couch and plenty of big games on the TV. Well, Florida Home AC knows you might be hitting the thermostat every time your team goes for the win. With family and friends hanging out for 4 quarters or more, the heating and AC unit will be working overtime. Stay cool with Florida Home AC. A simple phone call to 777-4300 and make sure your unit is primed for the fall when temps change constantly. Order a tune-up and enjoy the season. Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars.
It's about the hunt.
Captain Kevin Favor here with Captain Kirk and Jeff Lagerman.
We take you from the water to the woods.
On the Nimnit Outdoors Show, presented by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing and Septic Services.
Let's go to the woods, y'all.
Saturday mornings from 7 to 10 on 1010XL.
Hicken here. The Borland Groover Foundation proudly presents the annual March to Get Screened 5K race and 1 mile fun run. Sunday, April 14th. The race starts at 7 a.m. under the Fuller Warren Bridge. Their mission, raise awareness about colorectal cancer and related deaths. All proceeds benefit the Borland Groover Foundation. It's a nonprofit organization devoted to building a healthy and equitable community that is free from colon cancer. Visit BorlandGrooverFoundation.com for more.
The Florida Forum welcomes tech entrepreneur and philanthropist Steve Wozniak, January 17th. Funds will be raised for a Kids Care Mobile ICU, a neonatal and pediatric critical care transport vehicle. Kids Care vehicles and helicopters safely transport more than 2,200 infants and children a year to Wolfson Children's Hospital. To get your tickets, click thefloridaforum.com or call 202-2886. 202-2886.
Brian Wall here. Would you take your paycheck, go to the bank, cash it, and then simply throw it up in the air? I didn't think so. But in a way, over the years, that is exactly what you're doing if you have old or builder-grade windows in your home. Even if you have a brand new home, those windows are not the best windows you can have to save on your energy bills. Window World has sold millions of replacement windows to homeowners like you, and Window World's customer satisfaction is the highest in the business. Please check Window World out yourself and save on your new windows and on your energy bills. Compare with other companies and you'll see Window World is simply the best for less. It's up to you. You can call Window World and get a free estimate, get the best guarantee in the window replacement business, save money on your new windows, and save more on your energy bills. Call Window World today at 904-443-7001 or go online to windowworldneflorida.com. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
This is Dr. James Perry, Assistant Team Physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
I recently met them. Coach Peterson's main priority for the offensive line is getting healthy in the offseason and remaining healthy through next year. Peterson spoke on the importance of continuity and how constant line changes this season didn't allow them to get in sync with one another.
I just think we need to stay healthy. When guys are playing together for 3 games, it's not long enough because then we're making another switch, right? He gets hurt and we got to make another. Then they're playing together for 3 or 4 more games, and then Cam's out for 4 games with an injury or something, and then so the consistency and the continuity that's what really drives the offensive line.
I'm Molly McDonald with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jeff Lagerman Tuesday on Jaguars Today is brought to you by Mr. Sparky of the First Coast, your on-time electrician on 1010XL.
All right, got a few more on the lines, got a few on social media we want to get to, but let's get with Jeff Lagerman, today's 10-10 take.
10-10 take.
Now, Mike Dempsey's 10-10 take. Brought to you by J&M Roofing Jacksonville, your storm restoration specialists.
All right, Logs, want to get your take on this, the interior of the offensive line. Okay, this week, Ezra Cleveland played every snap. Luke Fortner played all but 2, and Brandon Sheriff played 100% of the snaps on offense as well. Out of that trio, who are likely to return as starters, in your opinion? I understand Ezra Cleveland's a free agent, but who do you think out of that trio is likely to open as a starter for the Jaguars' offensive line in 2024?
I like Ezra Cleveland. I think that he's a good football player, and I think he definitely helped upgrade this offensive line when he was healthy. And then when his knee got banged up a little bit, his play fell off a little bit. But I think he would be a good piece to keep for in the future. And Brandon Sheriff is super athletic and moves extremely well. He was solid, consistent this year. The one thing that he lacks is the phone booth strength, the big power. And if you can upgrade at center, which I think that they need to take a good, strong look at and make that position stronger, then I think your two guards are okay. But I don't know. I don't know how they're going to approach it, but I believe that they definitely have to upgrade the center position. And again, I like Ezra Cleveland, and you can't fix everything. So if Sheriff is back, I'm okay with that as well, just because he's solid, dependable, and you know what he is.
These rumors have been floating around for about an hour now, but officially from the Jaguars, they have fired running backs coach Bernie Parmalee. They also have announced that assistant offensive line coach Todd Washington, whose contract has expired, will not be renewed for next season. So a couple of staff changes there on the offensive side of the ball as well.
What do you make of that news, Jeff?
I'm a little surprised. I mean, look, with Todd Washington, he's an assistant offensive line coach, so I'm sure that he would like to have an opportunity to be able to possibly get a head offensive line coaching position, and got a lot of respect for Todd. Super nice, super good guy, and wish him the best. And Parmalee, that's a little surprising to me. I mean, Etienne, I thought, had a really solid year, but I mean, does the performance of Bigsby have anything to do with that? I don't know.
Maybe, and Travis Etienne's yards per carry fell way off. Now, I'm not saying that's all Travis Etienne's fault. I think the line was very culpable in all that, but he went from 5.2 or 5.1 yards per carry to 3.8 logs. He did score a lot more touchdowns this year, but the per carry, he needed 47 more carries to post about 100 less yards this year. That's not good.
Yeah.
So
no, it's a big difference, and I believe the offensive line had a lot to do with that.
I agree.
And also some of the lack of health by Etienne himself. He had a stretch there of about 3 or 4 games where he just wasn't hitting it just because he wasn't healthy, and it looked to be pretty clear that he wasn't healthy.
Maybe 11 months ago, right? Jag season's wrapped up. We're talking about assistant coaches. Phil Rauscher seemed to be the guy, right? Like, there's one guy who's a shining star among the position coaches, and the quarterback's coaching group was lauded as well. But Phil Rauscher, the offensive line coach, got a lot of that praise. Logs, did he, how does it go from what it was last year? Was it the injuries? That's what Doug Peterson seemed to indicate, like they could never get chemistry going for more than a few weeks at a time because they were cycling different guys in. Is that legit, or is that an excuse?
No, look, I think that part of it is that, but then also part of that is, okay, the scheme and your commitment to run, and also part of that is personnel. So you can't sit there and say, okay, the problem of any one position group is just the position coach. The problem could be with what that position coach has been given by Trent Baalke. It could be that the scheme doesn't fit the style in which the fans want to see. I mean, there can be a lot of explanations for that. There's a lot that goes into that, and with the offensive line, which is what we're talking about now. Phil Rauscher was a good coach last year. All of a sudden, he didn't turn into a bad coach from last year to this year.
Jeff, we haven't talked specifically about Trevor Lawrence a whole lot this morning. So what is your overall reaction to Trevor's season? And because there is a loud, but I still believe small portion of the fan base that continues to talk about this, has your confidence in Trevor being the franchise quarterback been shaken by anything you've seen this season?
My confidence is not shaken, but I also have the belief that he has to be better. He's got to protect the ball better. Some of the decision-making that he had in the last game at Tennessee, I didn't like. On the 4th and 7 or whatever it was where he threw it underneath the Zay. He's got Calvin Ridley coming open late. The Superman diving for the goal line on that play in which he didn't make it on 4th down, I didn't like, mainly because you got your right guards pulling away and you don't have the scheme in front of you that's going to make that play and decide to do that on your own. You got to have a scheme that's going to help you decide to do that on your own. That was not the decision to make. The ball's got to be protected. I mean, he's got to be better next year for this football team, and he'll be the first one to admit it. That's a great thing about Trevor. Trevor's a leader, and leaders admit that they've got responsibility, and they work to improve it.
Would you pay Trevor Lawrence this offseason? Some people, I heard the guys on the drill talking about it. If you had paid Josh Allen last season, you might have saved a little bit of money, but then again, you'd be paying him based on he didn't have that 17.5 sack season. You know what I mean? So are you paying Trevor now thinking you might save a little money or that you know that he's your guy, or are you waiting and seeing? I mean, because I think the only reason you wait is if you're not even sure you're going to do that. I think the earlier you do it, the better price you kind of lock in on that. But if you're not 100% convinced you're going to eventually do it, that would be the reason to wait. Where are you on the timing of an extension potentially for Trevor Lawrence?
Well, first and foremost, we kind of assume that if it gets done this year, you're going to save money from the following year. I don't know if that's the right assumption or not, but I think you got to have dialogue because I believe he's a franchise quarterback, and I think he's the quarterback to lead this organization in the future. I have a lot of faith in Trevor, and I believe he's going to get better, which he has to. So I think you absolutely have conversations with him. But again, those conversations and where you're willing to go from a pay standpoint has to be commensurate with where his performance is, and where that performance is now is that it's needing to be improved. So I think it's an interesting question, Mike, and I don't know if there is one right answer, to be honest with you.
All right, look, I'm not saying you have to have the perfect answer to everything, right? But we're just trying to pose the questions and see, and it's going to be a big topic of discussion. We got two left here, Mike in St. Augustine, Bruce in Mandarin. Guys, go quick, please. Can't go through a litany of stuff. What do you got, Mike? What's your top item?
Two quick things. He has a callous disregard for the ball. It's above the shoulders. It's decision-making. He doesn't throw over the middle much. You look at Jordan Love, great decision-making.
Mike, keep it on the Jags. We're down to like 30 seconds here.
I'm just saying he's had a lot of –
All right, appreciate it. Better decision-making for Trevor Lawrence. Logs, I think we all agree on that, right? Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, that's what we just talked about.
I mean, 30 seconds, Bruce. Make your top point, please.
Okay. I agree Mike Caldwell being fired. What do you think of Wink Martindale getting the job? And they should have drafted Aiden Hutchinson.
Okay.
From what the reports are coming out this morning, Wink hasn't put in the paperwork yet to actually not be the Giants' defensive coordinator.
By the way, are you allowed to just quit one job where you're under contract and just take another one?
I don't believe so.
I don't know that's how that works, but if he were available, what would you think of Wink Martindale?
Yeah, he's a good football coach, and he's been proven to be a good football coach, and he's very aggressive, and I think he's done a good job. So, yeah, I think he'd be good. There's a lot of coaches out there, I think, that would be good. But, to me, you got to have a scheme that's aggressive and that fits your personnel and also can work with your head coach. They got to have a strong relationship.
All right, Logs, keep it right there for a second as we welcome in XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill, brought to you by Tire Outlet. Tire Outlet is now hiring. Visit TireOutlet.com/careers. Equal opportunity employer.
All right, Big Sirs here. Leon, good morning. How are you?
How you doing, gentlemen?
Look, you got multiple hours. I know you're going to chew on all this, but just a quick thought from you, if we could, on the Jags. Letting Mike Caldwell and the defensive staff go. A couple of offensive assistants this morning won't be retained, but for the most part, the offensive staff will return mostly intact. Defensive staff gets washed out. Your reaction to that?
Well, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I mean, when you got a relationship with certain people, I think that they're detained. And then the guys, well, listen, the defensive staff deserves to go, to be quite honest with you. If you look at the last couple of games where you're giving up over 28 points to teams like the Titans, you get the points against the Cincinnati Bengals, the Cleveland Browns, Ravens. I mean, when you have the colossal collapse that this team has, no one is exempt. So I'm not surprised that some heads rolled after the season.
I heard the guys talking about it this morning, saying that Doug and Mike Caldwell go back years and years and years.
Do they?
Yeah, that's what.
I was digging at the fact that he knew Press Taylor for so long.
Right, I know that's what because I've never really thought we know the Press was with him and Mike came from Tampa, and I guess and I'm not sure. I just heard the guys on the drill talking about that this morning. So and you assume there's some connection when he hired him here, but. Regardless, I know you guys are going to get into that and a lot more today.
Absolutely.
Looking back on the national championship
I
as well.
saw there was a bludgeoning.
Apparently, cheating pays off, man. So, right?
There you go. Don't do that.
What?
Don't do that.
Don't I do that?
Rule.
Talk to Michigan about not doing that.
24-hour rule.
24-hour
Yeah,
rule.
let them celebrate.
I don't have to let them do anything, honestly.
I see.
Bunch of cheaters.
So you go up with the asterisks?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
right.
That's me. I'm not down with anybody blatantly cheating to on their way to winning a championship, but
what about when they stole them crab legs? Was that?
Did that impact the play on the field?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. What you really want to open the door?
Of course I do.
To off the field issues there, Mr. Miami Hurricane.
First of all, we've got plenty.
Wow. All right, Leon, have a great show.
All right,
we appreciate you coming up. Hey, crab legs also defying his coach and getting Jamal Williams a touchdown in the final game of the season. Jameis Winston's going to do his own thing, apparently. Logs, what are you going to be doing now that the season's over with? Where are you going to disappear on us? I know you're back in with us next week, but are folks going to be able to catch you in any form or fashion?
Oh yeah. We've got some things to wrap up this week. We've got Jaguars All Access on Wednesday night this week at Strings. And then Thursday, me and JP will have the happy hour and the coach's show. I don't know if the coach's show is going to be continued this week or not. Stay tuned on that. Or if Doug Peterson is going to be available for that, we'll see. And then the outdoor show on Saturday, and then I'll be back on with you guys next Tuesday.
Look forward to it. Well, can we call it the not so happy hour, at least for 1 week, maybe? Just the kind of the melancholy hour.
Well, Mike, the one thing about happy hour is you can drown your sorrow.
This is true, sir. All right, Logs, enjoy your time. Be safe up there with all the weather, and appreciate your service today. Great stuff, and we'll talk to you next Tuesday.
All right, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Pockets.
All right, there he goes. Jeff Loggeman out the door. Tony, we'll chew on a lot of this stuff ourselves tomorrow. Wanted to get Jeff's perspective on a lot of it. And look, there's so much audio from yesterday. We'll be spending the next several weeks going through a lot of what was said in some of these farewell press conferences. But John Ogier will be along as well. Coming up next, you got XL Primetime. That'll do it for us. For Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark, and Jeff Loggeman, I'm Mike Dempsey. Thank you for listening to Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.